Hi, I'm Dylan, 21, and 3 months ago my parents sat me down at the kitchen table like they were about to reveal a terminal diagnosis. Instead, my dad cleared his throat, folded his hands dramatically, and said the sentence that detonated my entire life. You will not return to college until you apologize to your brother. My brother, the family's golden boy, the sun to their solar system, the reason logic had a restraining order in our house. I blinked at them, waiting for some kind of punchline. An apology? For what? For catching him cheating on his fiancée and refusing to help him lie about it. For not covering for him when he, accidentally, used my laptop to plagiarize half a semester's worth of essays? For not letting him pin his failures on me like usual? Apparently, yes, all of the above. And why Mom chimed in, wringing her hands like she was the one suffering. Sweetie, you humiliated him, he hasn't eaten in 2 days. As if the man hadn't devoured 3 burritos in front of me the night before while bragging about how he'd get me back for betraying him. Then came the real threat. They were cutting off tuition payments. I could come home, reflect, apologize, and earn their support back. Let me make something clear. I was on a partial scholarship, worked part-time, and lived cheap, but tuition? That was the one piece I couldn't cover alone. They knew it, they were counting on it. And the worst part? My brother stood in the hallway listening, arms crossed, smirking like a villain in a teen drama. When our eyes met, he mouthed, "Told you I'd win." Something snapped in me then, not loudly, not dramatically, it was quiet, like the sound a rope makes right before it breaks. I stood up from the table. My parents stiffened, expecting me to crumble, beg, negotiate. Instead, I said, "Okay." My dad frowned. "Okay, what?" "Okay, I'll take care of myself." My mom blinked in confusion. "Meaning, you'll apologize?" "No," I said. "Meaning you can keep your tuition, I'm done." I went upstairs, stuffed my clothes into a duffel bag, grabbed the laptop they always forgot I paid for, and walked out. No yelling, no tears, no dramatic speeches. Just me and the cold night air hitting my face as my brother's voice echoed behind me. "Don't worry. He'll be back." Funny thing, I wasn't. I left that house with $68, half a tank of gas, and no clue what the hell I was doing. But I'd rather sleep in my car than grovel at the feet of people who thought my brother's ego was worth more than my future. And that decision, it set off a domino effect none of us saw coming. I didn't plan on spending the night in my car, but that's exactly where I ended up, reclined in the driver's seat of my old Civic, parked behind a 24-hour grocery store, staring at the ceiling like it might hand me a life plan. Spoiler, it didn't. My phone buzzed nonstop. First, text from my mom. "Where are you? Come home and stop being dramatic. Your brother is devastated." Then my dad chimed in. "Grow up. You're being selfish. You're throwing away your future." My brother's text was the cherry on top. "LMAO, enjoy community college, loser." I turned the phone off before I threw it into traffic. In the morning, I drove to campus and met with financial aid. The woman at the desk had kind eyes, the kind that made me almost break down. I told her everything, not the messy family stuff, just the facts. My parents cut me off, and I needed help. She typed for a long time, frowning at the screen. "You qualify for emergency need-based assistance," she finally said. "It won't cover everything, but it'll help." Help meant I still owed more than I had, a lot more. Next stop, my academic advisor. He listened quietly, then leaned back in his chair with a sigh. "You're one of my best students, Dylan. Don't let this derail you." "That's the problem," I said. "I don't know how to stay." He studied me for a moment. "Then don't leave, not yet. Fight for it." Fight for it. Easier said than done when your family treats you like you're disposable. By lunchtime, I was sitting on a campus bench staring at the financial breakdown on my laptop, feeling my stomach twist. Half the people walking around me had parents who'd died before letting their kids drop out. Mine were practically celebrating. I was about to close everything and accept my fate when someone sat beside me. Her name was Karina. We shared 3 classes but had never spoken outside of group projects. She glanced at the spreadsheet on my screen, then at the bags under my eyes. "You look like you slept in your car," she said. I let out a weak laugh. "That's because I did." She didn't pry. Instead, she offered me half her sandwich and said something I didn't know I needed. "You're not going to drop out, we'll figure it out." "We?" She shrugged. "You're smart and decent, and you helped me pass econ, so yeah, we." That "we" saved me. That same afternoon, she marched me into the student employment office like she owned the place. Within an hour, I had 2 part-time jobs lined up, one tutoring, one in the campus media lab. Not glamorous, not easy, but enough to chip away at the gap. A week later, I had a cheap sublet with 3 roommates, a fridge full of dollar store groceries, and a schedule that made sleep optional. But I stayed in school. I stayed, and while I was building a new life, my old one began to crumble without me, starting with the golden boy himself. Because 2 weeks after I left, I got a message I never expected, from my brother's fiancée, and she was furious. Karina and I were in the campus library editing a finance project when my phone buzzed with a notification from an unknown number. At first, I ignored it, until the preview flashed a name I hadn't expected in 1,000 years. "Hi, it's Claire. We need to talk about your brother." My brother's fiancée. The one he cheated on. The one everyone swore would never find out. The one I refused to lie to. My stomach tightened. I stepped into the hallway and opened the message. "Claire, I know what he did, and I know you didn't cover for him. I owe you an apology. Can we talk?" "Apology?" From her, I hesitated, until another message popped up. "He told everyone you sabotaged his relationship, said you lied about him." But I checked his old phone. I found everything. I froze. Because everything could only mean one thing: screenshots, videos, the messages he'd begged me to delete, the receipts. Before I could reply, she sent one more. "Your parents know, they just didn't care." That one hit me like a punch in the ribs. I called her. She picked up immediately, voice trembling, but not with sadness, with rage. "Dylan," she said, "I don't know why you protected me, but thank you, and I'm so sorry your family treated you like garbage for telling the truth." I swallowed hard. "You don't need to apologize, none of this is your fault." "Oh, trust me, I know that now." She blew out a breath. "Your brother has been telling everyone you're a jealous liar, that you were trying to break us up. He told your parents I seduced someone else while he was the loyal one." I let out a short, humorless laugh. That sounded exactly like him. Spin the story, blame everyone else, cry until the world forgives him. But Claire wasn't done. "I'm sending you the files," she said. "All the evidence, every disgusting thing he wrote. I think you'll want to see what your saint of a brother's been up to." My phone buzzed with a dozen attachments. Screenshots of texts where he mocked our parents. Messages bragging about how easily he manipulated Mom. Videos of him and his friends laughing about the day they'd cut off the nerd, me. And worst, explicit messages he'd sent to 3 different women while engaged. Claire's voice broke. "Your parents defended him. They told me boys will be boys. They said I was overreacting." I closed my eyes, jaw tightening. Yeah, that sounded like them. Then her tone shifted, sharp, determined. "I'm done covering for him, and I want you to know something." "What?" Silence. Then, "When your parents accuse you of lying, your brother told them, he won't say anything, he needs us too much to leave." That lit something cold in my chest. "So when you walked out," she continued, "they panicked not because they cared about you, but because you messed up the script he'd written for them." I leaned back against the wall, breath shallow. Everything suddenly made sense. The manipulation, the theatrics, the sudden cutoff. Control. They thought I had nowhere else to go. Claire took a shaky breath. "I'm sending your parents the truth tonight, and I'm ending this engagement, but I figured you deserved a heads up because it's going to be nuclear." She didn't exaggerate. Because 2 hours later, my mom called me sobbing hysterically. My dad called yelling. My brother texted one sentence. "You have no idea what you just started." He was right. Because the fallout that hit next didn't just expose him. It exposed all of them. The explosion hit faster than I expected. I was finishing a tutoring shift when my phone vibrated nonstop like it was trying to escape my pocket. Calls, texts, voicemails, all from home. I ignored them, until Karina glanced at my screen and said, "If it's blowing up like that, something went very, very wrong." She wasn't wrong. When I finally checked, the first message was from my mom. "Call me right now, this is a family emergency." The next was my dad. "What did you do?" Then another from my mom. "How could you humiliate your brother this way?" Then my brother. "Answer now." Every instinct in me said, don't doubt, so I didn't. Instead, I opened Claire's text. "Your mom and dad are at our house. They're screaming at me in the driveway. Your brother's hiding inside like a coward. Good luck." Great. Fantastic. Exactly what I needed after a 10-hour day and 2 hours of sleep. I tried to breathe, but the anxiety felt like someone was sitting on my chest. Karina gently took my phone. "Let me guess, they're acting like you confessed to a murder." "That's basically correct." I didn't go home to my apartment. I drove to a 24-hour diner, sat in a corner booth, and braced myself before listening to the voicemails. Mom's was first, high-pitched and trembling. Dylan, how could you share private family matters with that girl? Your brother is devastated, devastated. You've always been jealous of him. Then Dad's voice, low and furious. I don't know what kind of selfish stunt you think you're pulling, but you don't betray family. Then one from my brother, smugness barely contained. You think this changes anything for you? You'll come crawling back, you always do. That one made me laugh out loud. The waitress gave me a funny look, but I couldn't help it. Crawling back? He still thought I was the spineless kid he used to boss around. But then came a voicemail that actually made my blood run cold. Another one from my dad, his tone different, almost calculating. Your actions have consequences, son. If Claire tells people about your brother, she'll be dragging all of us into it. Don't think your little rebellion won't hurt you too. You're not innocent in this. Not innocent? I sat there, gripping my phone, shaking with something between anger and disbelief. Karina slid into the booth across from me with her milkshake and fries. You look like someone threatened your cat, she said. What did they say now? They're trying to flip it on me. My voice cracked, which annoyed me more than anything. They're saying I hurt the family. That I made Claire expose him. Karina snorted. Of course, because nothing screams family values like cheating, lying, and blackmail. I leaned back exhausted. This is what they always do. He screws up, they bend reality so he doesn't have to grow up. Karina dipped a fry in whipped cream, not strangely, kind of thoughtfully. Then maybe it's time someone finally forced him to. Before I could respond, my phone buzzed again, this time with a text from a number I didn't recognize. But the message? Oh, I recognized the voice behind it immediately. Claire. Your brother just admitted something, actually, a lot of things, and I think you're going to want to hear this before I forward it to your parents. I replied instantly. She sent an audio file that I put in one earbud, pressed play, and for the next 2 minutes, I sat perfectly still as my brother confessed, bragged, really, about every scheme, every lie, every time he used our parents to get out of trouble, and one horrifying detail that explained everything they'd done to me. The second the audio ended, Karina whispered. Holy! Dylan, you can't ignore this. She was right. Because that recording didn't just expose my brother as the manipulative fraud he was. It revealed exactly why my parents would burn down my future to protect him. And the truth? It was so much uglier than I ever imagined. I didn't even finish my milkshake. The second that audio file ended. My hands were already shaking, not from fear, but from the kind of anger that tastes metallic in your mouth. Karina watched me carefully, like she wasn't sure if she needed to confiscate my phone or my entire sense of self-preservation. What did he say? She asked softly. I swallowed hard. Everything. But everything didn't come close. In the recording, my brother was talking to one of his friends, loud, drunk, bragging. At first, it was the usual garbage, how easy it was to cheat on Claire, how he could always count on Mom to run interference, how Dad never questions anything if you look disappointed enough. But then he said the part that made my stomach drop. He said I wasn't supposed to succeed. Word for word. Dylan wasn't meant to go farther than me. That wasn't the plan. My parents promised me they'd make sure of it. The plan? He kept going, laughing like it was some hilarious inside joke. He's the backup kid, the extra. You keep the extra close, keep him dependent, keep him grateful. My mom literally said, we can't have both of you looking like winners. Families need balance. Balance. I had to pause the audio just to steady my breathing. He continued. They paid for his college because they thought it made me look generous. But if he ever stepped out of line? Boom, gone. They told me they'd cut him off so fast his head would spin. Karina's eyes widened. He said that? I nodded, jaw clenched. But the worst part, was the ending. He lowered his voice, smug and full of himself. Dylan doesn't have the spine to leave, he needs them, that's the beauty of him. He'll always need them more than they need him. I stopped the recording there. Karina stared at me, horrified. This is sick. It's... I couldn't even finish the sentence. I didn't have the words. This entire time, my parents weren't just biased, they weren't just blind, they were playing roles they'd built around him. He wasn't the golden boy by accident. He was the investment. The heir. The one they groomed to succeed. And me, I was the safety net, the spare tire, the tool to make him look better, and the moment I stopped playing along, they cut me loose like a frayed thread. It wasn't just neglect. It was strategy. Karina looked at me with something like pity, but also something sharper, anger on my behalf. Dylan, she said. They never deserved you. I didn't answer, couldn't, because while I was still trying to process the idea that my entire childhood had been designed around boosting someone else's ego, my phone lit up again. This time, a text from Claire. I sent the recording to your parents, they're losing it, they're calling me nonstop. 2 seconds later. And, your mom just put something on Facebook, you should see it. My stomach dropped. Karina grabbed my phone before I could and opened the app, her eyebrows shot up. Dylan, she whispered. I think your parents just declared war. What they posted, what they accused me of, that was the moment the entire situation exploded, publicly, violently, permanently. And there was no going back. If there was ever a moment I realized my parents didn't just want control, they wanted obliteration, it was the moment I saw my mother's Facebook post. Karina held my phone like it was radioactive. Okay, she said. You need to stay very, very calm. I was already bracing myself. Let me guess, they're doing damage control. She shook her head. Oh, Dylan, they went way past that. She turned the screen toward me. My mother had written a 6-paragraph manifesto publicly tagging relatives, church members, neighbors, and anyone she'd ever made eye contact with at a grocery store. And the first line? Our son Dylan is mentally unwell and has been spreading lies to destroy our family. My blood turned to ice. Karina kept scrolling. We have loved him unconditionally for 21 years. But he has fallen in with the wrong people and developed a dangerous obsession with ruining his brother's happiness. Dangerous. Obsession. Mentally unwell. They didn't just throw me under the bus, they strapped me to the bumper and floored it. But then came the real nuclear bomb. We tried to get him help, he refuses treatment. Please pray for our family during this difficult time. Treatment? Karina's jaw dropped. They're framing it as you being unstable so nobody believes the recording. She wasn't wrong. That post wasn't for friends, it was for witnesses, it was for plausible deniability, it was the opening argument of a PR campaign. And the comments? Oh, they flooded in like sewage after a storm. So sorry you're going through this. I'll pray for your troubled son. Stay strong, Mama. He always seemed different. Protect your golden boy, some siblings get jealous. I had to look away. Karina clenched her jaw. They're painting you as the villain. They always do. My phone buzzed again, a message from my dad. A single sentence. Take that recording back or we'll take legal action. Karina scoffed. On what grounds? Being terrible parents? I shook my head. No, they're going to claim I doctored it. Because when reality doesn't suit them, they just invent a version that does. I didn't reply. Instead, I took a long breath, put my phone down on the diner table, and stared at the cheap ketchup bottle until my vision steadied. Karina leaned forward. So what are you going to do? I didn't know. Part of me wanted to crawl under a rock until graduation. Part of me wanted to drive to their house and scream every truth I'd swallowed for years. Part of me wanted to burn the entire dysfunctional structure down. But the part one listened to was quieter, steadier, colder. I'm going to make sure they can't lie about me anymore. Karina nodded slowly. How? I swallowed hard. I'm going to tell the truth, publicly. She blinked. Whoa, like a post? No, I said. Bigger. And when I said, bigger, I didn't know just how big it would get, because the next morning, the university dean's office called me. They wanted to discuss allegations made by my family. Which was wild, because I hadn't said a word yet, and the meeting they summoned me to would end with me uncovering something I didn't see coming, about my future, my scholarship, and a betrayal even deeper than my parents. The dean's office wasn't where I expected to end up, but there I was, sitting across from Dr. Hargrove while he folded his hands like he was about to deliver a medical diagnosis. Your parents contacted the university, he said. They're claiming you're unstable, lying about your brother, and violating our conduct code. I let out a breath. None of that is true. I figured, he replied. Your professors speak highly of you, still, we had to look into it. Then he dropped the real bomb. A major donor withdrew a scholarship you were shortlisted for. They received a letter from your parents. My stomach tightened. What did it say? That supporting you would enable dangerous behavior. Of course, they weren't satisfied with cutting me off. They wanted the world to do it too. But then he leaned forward. We're giving you an emergency scholarship, independent of them, you're staying here. It took a second to register. Relief hit so sharply it almost hurt. I walked outside afterward, still trying to breathe normally, when security approached me. There's a woman outside asking for you, says she's your mother. Of course she was. She rushed up the moment she saw me. Dylan, please, we need to talk. No, I said. You don't get access to my life anymore. Her expression twisted. We did all of this for your brother. You were supposed to understand that. There it was, no shame, no hesitation. Then go protect him, I said. I'm done being used. I left her standing there in stunned silence. That night, I posted the truth, calm, straightforward, everything documented, not to destroy them, just to end their narrative. I expected backlash. Instead, I got an avalanche. The fallout hit by sunrise. What I thought would be a quiet post seen by a handful of people turned into a chain reaction I couldn't have predicted. First came Claire's statement, clear, calm, and brutally honest. Then my aunt stepped forward with her own story about how my parents covered for my brother since he was 14. A neighbor added how many times they'd apologized on his behalf for things he never owned up to. One relative even admitted they always suspected something was wrong but were afraid to say it. Suddenly, my truth wasn't just mine anymore. Then my brother texted, "You ruined everything." I stared at it for a long moment before responding, "No. I stopped letting you ruin me." He blocked me instantly, which felt more like a victory than a loss. My parents tried a final act of desperation, calling nonstop, switching between weepy apologies and furious accusations. I didn't answer, let them cycle through their scripts without me. That evening, Karina found me on the dorm steps, legs stretched out, eyes tired but finally steady. "You holding up?" she asked. "I think," I said slowly. "For the first time, yeah?" She nudged my shoulder. "You didn't just survive them, you built something they can't touch." And she was right. I finished the semester, earned my scholarship, moved into a decent apartment with people who didn't weaponize love, started carving out a future that wasn't shaped by someone else's ego. My parents still post vague quotes about wayward sons and family loyalty. My brother pretends I don't exist unless he needs someone to blame. But me, I'm finally living a life that's mine. And that, more than anything they ever withheld, is worth everything I lost to get here.